Mrs. Harinder Singh, Dr. C. Raja Mohan, our distinguished speaker for this evening, senior officers, Vice Chief of Naval Staff, Principal Staff Officers, Flag Officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a distinct honor for me to be present here today for the Admiral RK Kothari Memorial Lecture, which has been organized by the vibrant and proactive Navy Foundation Delhi Charter. We are also delighted to have with us Dr. Raja Mohan, who is a distinguished speaker as well as a great writer on maritime affairs, and we look forward to an enriching talk by him this evening. Every organization has a pioneer who lays the foundation for the future generations to build on. Admiral Ramdas Katari was the pioneer of the Indian Navy, and he charted the course for the future Indian Navy when he took over as the first Indian Chief of the Naval Staff on 22nd of April 1958, as Admiral Harinder Singh mentioned, at the young age of 47. So he was not only the first Indian, he was also the youngest Indian to take over as the Chief of the Naval Staff. During the period from 1947 to 1958, a period of 11 years, the Indian Navy was commanded by Royal Navy flag officers, Admiral Hall, Admiral Pizy, Admiral Carlisle, and Admiral Perry. This was the period that Admiral Katari was being groomed to take over the reins and the helm of this Navy. Because as was mentioned, he was only 36 on the eve of independence when he took over command of HMIS Kisna and sailed for the Junagadh operations. He was later the commander of our first cruiser, INS Delhi, which was commissioned in the United Kingdom and served as the flagship of the Indian Navy for many years. He commanded the Rajput, the destroyer Rajput, and was the captain of the 11th Destroyer Squadron. He was the Chief of Personnel, and this was the appointment which gave him an insight into aspects related to human resource development and the challenges of manpower of a fledgling Indian Navy. He was also the Deputy CNC and the Chief of Staff, and these are the appointments where his administrative skills as a capable administrator came to the fore as he laid the administration and the organizational foundation of the Indian Navy. It was a proud moment for India when Admiral Katari took over as the first Indian to be the flag officer commanding Indian fleet, which was a precursor of many firsts to follow. But there's a point to note that when India became independent, the Indian Navy did not have adequate resources and facilities to train our officers because we were heavily reliant on the United Kingdom for officer training. This was one of the aspects that Admiral Katari set forth, that training needs to be the bedrock of a combat-ready Navy. I'm sure today he would be proud to know and learn that we have our own Indian Naval Academy located on the foothills of Mount Tilly in Ezimala in a sprawling 2,500 acres of land with pristine seaboard, the backwaters, and all the facilities to groom professional naval officers who also get a BTech degree. We have our professional schools which provide specialization training in various aspects, including submarine training and aviation training. We are perhaps one of the few countries in the world which has an ab initio tri-service academy at the National Defense Academy, the Defense Services Staff College, and the NDC. We also have our own Naval War College at Goa, which conducts the Naval Higher Command course. We have the Flag Officer Sea Training, which puts our ships through paces and hones the skills of our men so that they can run combat-ready ships. I'm sure that he would be very proud to learn as well that in addition to having world-class training for our officers and sailors, the Indian Navy trains officers and sailors every year from about 24 other countries of the world. Admiral Katari was also a visionary who looked at aspects related to self-reliance and indigenization. We inducted naval architects into our Navy soon after independence, way back in 1953. We constructed our first indigenous war vessel, a patrol vessel, INS Ajay, at Garden Reach Shipyard in 1960. We set up our own Naval Design Directorate in 1964. And over the last 50 years plus, we have been designing ships, and our shipyards have been constructing ships. And over a period of time and decades, we have transformed from a buyer's Navy to a builder's and a designer's Navy. It would make every Indian proud to learn that currently all the 46 ships and submarines under construction are being built in Indian shipyards, both public and private. To further consolidate on our efforts towards indigenization, we have outlined a science and technology roadmap for the next 15 years in consultation with the DRDO. We have also outlined the Indian Navy's indigenization plan over the next 15 years and shared it with the industry. It is our endeavor to progressively increase the indigenous content so that future warships and submarines are 100% made in India. I'm sure Admiral Katari would have had a smile on his face if he looked down at the review anchorage at Visakhapatnam during IFR 2016, where he would have seen that 37 out of the 71 Indian ships were indeed made in India. At the IFR 16, 50 navies of the world came together to strengthen bridges of friendship. And that anchorage saw ships from United States of America, from China, from Japan, from Vietnam, Brazil, Russia, Seychelles, Mauritius, and so on. The list is endless since we had 24 of them from other countries. But one look at that anchorage was an indicator that we may be separated by geography, but we are certainly united through the oceans. And the defining moment, and there were many such moments during the fleet review, was when the combined bands from different navies shared the stage together, and these included the band from Iran, alongside the band from United States of America, from China, and so on. And certainly the defining moment was when the band and the troupe from Sri Lanka played Sare Jahan Se Acha Hindustan Hamara. I think that proved the point that it's a small world, as you heard the singer sing a little while ago, and we are certainly united through the oceans. As the ship sailed out, we had a Sail Navy Exide with 51 ships, including our own and ships from all over the world, with the underlying theme that to keep the global commons safe and secure. Because the seas are no longer a benign medium, and it is not possible for any navy, however robust it may be, to ensure the security and safety of the seas. The maritime medium, therefore, lends itself to cooperation. And global maritime partnerships and networking between the navies are emerging as the new order of the 21st century. And this is the subject of the talk this evening, and we look forward to Dr. Raja Mohan telling us all about the aspect of maritime diplomacy, India's new imperative. I've had the opportunity to meet him on many occasions, more recently on our visit to Colombo and the Gaul Dialogue, and also the ION seminar at Bangladesh. You all read his interesting articles in the Indian Express, and I was fascinated by his views in his book on India's naval strategy and the Asian security. India is essentially a maritime nation, and the Indian seaboard has been the vortex of intense maritime activity over centuries. The recent initiatives by the Indian Navy, and indeed the Government of India in the maritime domain, are pointers to indicate that India has once again turned towards the seas and is well on its path and on the right course to emerge as a resurgent maritime nation in the 21st century. Thank you very much.